Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I am here to take some questions, give some answers, and chat a little bit about this first. Whoop, this Navy Rugby, national champions. It's a pretty good deal. So, Navy Rugby used to be a club sport when I played it 33 years ago. And this is the first year they actually became an NCAA varsity sport. And in their first season as a varsity sport or NCAA D1 activity, they went undefeated and became the national champions. Pretty impressive. So they were fun to watch for sure. So congrats, Navy Rugby. Now go finish those finals and go enjoy the summer. But I also got a great email from another Naval Academy buddy of mine. I had him on a while back ago. You guys might remember James Mabry, who was the Naval Academy guy, became a Marine pilot, then he became a career firefighter. Now he's just a badass who trains hard and gives me hope for my 60s, as he is a few years older than me. Oh yeah, Alex, I will go into Hell Week last week. It was a fun event. I'll get into that. But anyway, he brought up something. Any bullet points that I would have to share his message to some young men and women heading to the Naval Academy out there in Arizona. Maybe an acronym that could be used. I got an acronym for you. In fact, I just came up with this the other day, and see if I can find it. If I can't, I will try to recall it. I made a couple acronyms up the other day. One was, let's see, one was cardio, and the other one was grit. So my grit acronym. Let me see if I can find this real quick, and we'll go through it. It should be a lot of fun. All right, let me load this baby up, and let's see, I made a few here. Oh man, I didn't save it. Let me see. Maybe I saved it in my downloads. But anyway, we'll take some questions here in a minute and chat a little bit about the title of this one, called It Depends. It depends. Now, the reason why a lot of times you will hear me give an answer of it depends is because I need more information. And unfortunately, people ask questions, and the best I can do is give you a fairly generic answer because I don't know several things. Like, I don't know I don't know your height and weight. I don't know your goals. I don't know your timeline. I don't know your amount of time that you have to train each day, your facilities. Do you have a pool? Do you have a track? Do you have weights? I don't know how many days per week you can do. So there's a whole lot of things that go into being able to answer a question specifically enough that is going to be beneficial for you. So often I will begin an answer by it depends. And usually that means I'm fishing for some answers. Let's see. I am trying to see what I did with this grit one. Nope. Anyway, we can come up with one. My advice for you is if you want an acronym to give this group is go with the word grit and come up with something uh, kind of cool around it. Maybe grit can be get moving now. GR can be we can say resilience. Work on emotional resilience because one, you're going to be away from home for the first time. You're going to be homesick. You're going to be getting yelled at by people, expected to perform greater than you ever have so far in your life. You're going to get inundated with time consuming events such as school, which is very important, athletics, and then your daily tasks of being a plebe. So resilience is very important. Um, I could be intensity, and you know, each day has to have a level of tensity and a level of A game that you need to bring to each day in order to sometimes just pass the minimum standards, but sometimes you can win something too, and achieve the great standard of A plus or whatever. Um, and then T could be we could make that one time management because it is very important for a plebe to learn time management. So that's my grit for you there, James. And I have another one. I created this one for like Spec War, and I just cannot find it to save my life here. A little bit pissed, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper, prepare myself. I was running a little bit late this morning, got out of the pool. So today we did hill day, lots of legs, squats, and lunges, and then we swam with fins afterwards. And I was rushing to get here before 9 and didn't even quite make it for that. But James, I'll get that to you. I'll email it to you once I find it. I just got to dig a little deeper. But anyway, you gave me some good ideas for the whole it depends thing. And in fact, I put this article in the description of this video description, and you guys can check it out on why it depends is a how do I prepare for blank? Well, that depends is going to be my answer. Depends on a lot of things. So let's go through some of these questions. Alex was first. He said, how did last week go? It went great. Lots of fun. Um, every morning we started off at the beach and we did wet and sandy, low crawls, bear crawls, fireman carries, uh, PT, squats, lunges. We had a pull up bar, did pull ups. Everything was involving wet and sandy pretty much at the beach for 2 to 3 hours. We would take a little break, and I had MREs there, and they were able to eat some MREs. And it was funny because everybody's shaking, eating MREs, and it just gave me some good memories of going through buds, shaking while you're eating. I showed them how to use the little warm up pack, which was somewhat of a lifesaver for some of them. I think. But it just, you heat your meals up and then you can use it to keep your hands warm. And then probably one of the most useful tools I showed them was okay, everybody's shaking right now. We just got some food in our bellies. Let's go warm up. And they're like, how are you going to warm up? It's 48 degrees air temperature with a wind, and the water temperature was 59 degrees. I said, just stand by. So what we did is basically our normal warm-up workouts for leg days, and they work really well for getting your body temperature back up. And it looks like this. You do 1 squat, you run 100 yards in the soft sand, you do 2 squats. You run back 3, 4, 5, 6, go up to 10. And I promise you by 7 or 8, you will no longer be shaking anymore. And I think that is probably one of the most useful tools besides the heat little package in the MRE that they took away from that, that they don't have to remain cold. They can actually get moving a little bit and not be freezing cold. It does warm your core up. It gets the blood pumping throughout your body. And next thing you know, you are a little bit warmer, a little less shaky. But no, it was good. And then we did a swim right after that. So they got cold again, and then I warmed them up again. And then we took a break for a couple hours. I had to come get some work done. Actually, I missed the Monday thing last week because of just didn't make it in time. And I wanted to make sure everybody was fully warmed up before I let them go, because when you're dealing with those kind of temperatures, I had to be very conservative with how long I put them in the water, and just made sure I had plenty of options to warm them up if need be. And there's one day where we said, all right, go eat breakfast in your car, turn the heater on, because it was that miserable. It was rainy, 47, 48 degrees, water temperature was freezing, everybody was cold. So actually let them go eat, and then we shut it down. That's why I was able to make Tuesday. Tuesday was just miserable. But then in the afternoon, we did another workout that was part run, part lift, of the same body group, body muscle groups that we did in the morning. So it was basically our normal workout that we do during the week. I just spread it out over about 5 hours in a day and added in a lot of just wet, sandy, miserable, low crawling, bear crawling, fireman carry activities that I think was an eye opener for many. So it was fun. It's our Hell Week simulator. And you can find that if I have it. Oh yeah, I do have one. Grinder PT actually has a Hell Week simulator in it. You just have to do it yourself. Got to haze yourself. All right. Good day, sir, from South Africa. Really appreciate your advice. Help me with my service. Oh, well, thank you, Luke. I heard the 4-mile timed run in buds in third phase is 28 minutes. Wouldn't I be flirting with a passing time? I couldn't find anything on the Seal Sweat website. No, it's 30 minutes. It decreases a minute every phase. So it starts off at 32, then it goes to 31, then goes to 30. Though I will say there's no real beach to run out there on the island. So they may have made it 28 because it's on pavement. I don't know. But I will tell you this. By then, everybody's running 28s, sub 28. Do you have a rucking program for RASP? Nope, but I do have a Ranger SF program that you can find on StuSmithFitness.com. In fact, I got a couple, depending on where you need to be. I mean, if you need to build up and like you haven't done the ACFT, you might want to do a second program that's a rucking prep, and then it gets you ready for the Army SF prep. In fact, on the very front page, if you go to StuSmithFitness.com, let me just show you this real quick. If you go to StuSmithFitness.com, you'll see they're right at the top. So we got this one right here is a rucking prep program, but it's also PFT, ACFT training. So it's got a little bit of both in there. Um, and then this one is the Ranger SF program. That's a lot of rucking, good progressions. Um, but there's also, I do have a rucking, let me see if I can find it, rucking progression article that you can find right here. So, rules of rucking, Army. You guys see that? Yeah, not sure what happened here. All right. So, yeah, check it out. StuSmithFitness.com. Right up front, you'll see two programs, but there's also, if you look in the search on that and do rucking progression, you'll see a rucking program and some rules in there in an article format. So, any thoughts on Navy all branches not hitting recruiting goals? Perhaps something to do with new Genesis system for applicants? Go. It's absolutely what it has to do with. It really has nothing to do with the people not wanting to join. People are trying to join, but they just can't. I had I can't remember where I saw this, but um, someone was talking about it, and then I confirmed it with our local recruiters, because that's what I do. You know, you hear something online, trust but verify, and he said absolutely that, you know, we get 30 or 40 guys wanting to come in, and then, you know, about 10, maybe even less than 10% of those guys. So, I mean, do the math on that. That's 3 or 4 get accepted from that process. So they're losing, you know, 90% of their recruits because of this Genesis system. So, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically your pharmaceutical history. So you might be able to get away with, you know, not having a medical record available to your recruiter when you were a kid. Maybe you had asthma or ADHD and you took some medications for it. And now this Genesis system pops up and says, yep, you were prescribed ADHD medication inhaler whenever you were 13 years old. And it flags it. Now, there are waivers for some of these things. So a lot of people are still getting in. They just have to go through a waiver process to do it. And I think probably what's going to happen is somebody in personnel responsible for recruiting is going to say, yeah, we might want to not use this system. It's almost too good for screening people. But yeah, I would say it's absolutely that reason. Been training for buds for a while and I ship in August. Sometimes I feel confident that I'm going to crush buds, while other times I feel self doubt. Is that normal? Well, I wouldn't feel confident you're going to crush buds. But then again, I wouldn't have self doubt that you're going to fail either. You got to be somewhere in the middle. You know, in fact, they did a study. In fact, I even think I have a study in the article. Overconfident and underconfident. They did a study on people, um, SEAL training, Stu Smith. Dude, look at this. You got to read this article. This is really good. Um, 2 danger signs that affect special ops candidate success. What are those 2 danger signs? One is overconfidence and the other is underconfidence. So crazy, crazy. Yeah, I wrote that article a while back. I'll just put the link into the comment section. Check that out. But is it normal? Yes, absolutely. It's normal for both. You see a lot of overconfident people, you see a lot of underconfident people. See a mix of both. I would say I was just anxious, where, you know, it's almost like that pregame jitters you get whenever you are about to go play a high school football game or athletic competition. Um, that's how I felt. like it was game on. I was ready to go, so it was still anxious, a little bit nervous, a lot of anxious energy that sometimes affected your sleep the night before, or just because you were thinking about it, you got all fired up. But you got to learn how to bring yourself down. And that's something I would really seriously practice. In fact, we did a podcast. If you look on my YouTube channel, you'll see a podcast I did with Jeff Nichols' wife, Catherine. And we really talk about, like the night before Hell Week or the night before first phase starts, right? And you're just really anxious. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, it's very common to be both, but where you want to be is in the middle, right? Confident in your abilities, not overconfident, but confident in your abilities so you're not doubting yourself. That's the healthy zone you want to be in. And there's an article really helps you through that. So Joe asks a great question. Do they sleep in the regular Army? No, they don't sleep. They stay awake for their 4-year enlistment. Wondering what you were asking there. Maybe you used the wrong word, sleep. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's a good one. Thanks for asking, Joe. What should 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 swim times be prior to leaving for buds? Great question. This is really good. I was just having this conversation this morning because we were doing 2,000 yard timed swim. So when you're doing this, remember, you have a 2-mile ocean swim at buds every week with fins. And 2 miles, however, is 4,000 yards. These are 2 nautical miles. So 4,000 yards is why he has those even numbers up there. Those are the numbers you need to practice. So 1,000, I've always said 1,000 a yard per second is pretty easy to maintain. You do the math on that, that's a 1640. As long as you're between 16 and 17 minutes, that's above average. I still do that. 2,000, double that, somewhere between 32 and 35. Really good time with fins on. Remember, these are big scuba fins. And then 4,000, double that, somewhere between 70 and 75. And the minimum time for first phase 2-mile swim is 85 minutes. So you're 10 minutes faster. 15 minutes faster, maybe. I mean, we had guys in the 60s, so we had some dudes that were nearly 20 minutes faster than the minimum standard, and you'll have guys in that zone. So my advice is try to be in that 60 to 70 minute window. If you can be in the 60s the whole time you're there, you'll be top 10% of your swim group. So, okay, I'm not sure what meds you're on, Joe, but you're asking some interesting question today. Heaven Week. There is no Heaven Week. Never really heard of it. I would say that's probably graduation. So Hell Week's week 4. Heaven Week is week 26. Hey, Stu, would you say rowing is an excellent form of cardio, maybe better than running? This is my opinion. It is an excellent form of cardio, probably better than running on a VO2 max scale, because you meet some rowers who are just like cardio animals, who can also run, by the way. But I will say this: there's not many rowing tests out there in the world, but there's a lot of running tests. So, can you reduce the impact of running by adding in activities like rowing and biking? Absolutely. What I would do is kind of like a triathlon workout where you would spend maybe a 50-50 split of your cardio being impact, non-impact. So something called a brick, where you do a bike, then run. So let's say you bike for 20 minutes, you run for 20 minutes, you got 40 minutes of cardio there, half the impact. You do the same thing with rowing. Absolutely. All right, Mikhail's back. Just got back doing water confidence training with some guys. How's your day? All good, man. We're doing the same thing here. Teaching people to tread. You know how I'm teaching people to tread? By stretching. Absolutely. You guys see my one of my latest articles? And this was a really good one that we may even talk about tomorrow. But this is check this out. This might help you um, understand what egg beater treading is and just any treading is. A lot of it has to do um, with your knee, hip, and ankle mobility. I know I talked about it before, but check it out. It's a really good article that really breaks it down and makes you understand what everything is. But I mean, water confidence is a lot more than just treading, but treading is a big part of water confidence. You got body, rescues, you got buddy rescues, you have underwaters, more treading, just swimming, different drown proofing drills. I tell you, something that's a really hard challenge is jump in the water with your boots, pants, and top on, then just start treading water. That sucks. Then take off your boots, take off your pants, take off your top, and put them over your head. Try to tread with that for a little bit. Then put them back on while you are still treading and holding your breath to do it. It's a tough drill. It will teach you water confidence. So this might be a dumb question, but when doing the CSS, how often do you switch sides, 25 or 50? It's up to you. I mean, I've done tests where I've done all 500 on my strong side because my strong side is better than my weak side. But I've also done some because the instructor said you got to be facing me the entire time, where you got to go strong side down, weak side back. Um, that kind of sucks too. Probably dropped 20, 25 seconds off my regular time. Or not dropped, but added 25 seconds. Um, it's kind of up to you, unless you're told to do it a certain way. That's how it works. All right. So, when doing underwater swim, is streamline and technique more important than actually learning to hold your breath for long periods? Absolutely. You guys have seen my underwater swim videos, right? So, YouTube, Stu Smith, underwater swim. It is all about um here, you can check this out. Wrote, wrote this Made this about 10, 12 years ago, I think. Anyway, check out that video. It is basically me talking about just being streamlined and gliding significantly throughout the test, just so you can, um, get across the pool and even across the pool and back in as little effort as possible. Because the more you stroke, the more oxygen you're using. So you can actually be a really efficient swimmer and have a crap breath hold. As long as you can hold your breath for 45 seconds, you could probably do a 50-meter underwater swim, because that's about how long it takes. Where people screw that up is they're constantly kicking and constantly pulling like this and doing no glide. Next thing you know, they're huffing and puffing at the 25. So what we practice is we practice a lot of 25s and work to not get winded doing it. So we will mix a underwater 25 with, our normal swim workouts, throw it right in the middle of it, just to see if you can hold your breath for 20 seconds and just glide it out. And you'd be surprised. It does get a lot easier. Recently purchased your Navy PST Phase 1. I have a couple questions. May I message you on Instagram about the workouts as I go through it? I also weigh over 250 pounds. Yeah, you're going to have to make some alterations being that big because the pull up reps may not be precise for you. So you are going to have to learn how to adapt this program to fit your current abilities. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I wrote an article on it. Adapt Adapting programs to your level of fitness. In fact, I even gave it a short title because originally it was a test article. But check that out. It says test article in the URL, but it's actually the title of the article is adapting programs to fit your level of performance and still reach your goals. So not everybody can run the mileage that I put in there, so you have to decrease it. Some people are running more, so they increase it. Some people can't swim the mileage, so they have to decrease it. Some people can't do all the reps, so they decrease it. So yeah, you're going to have to it's a generic program, so you're going to have to personalize it. Would there be a negative effect while I do your 12 weeks? Would there be a negative effect while I do your 12-week workout? Should I focus on certain workouts due to my weight? No, I'd say just do it and make alterations as needed. I probably wouldn't run as much. No matter what I put in there for running, I would probably run, given your weight, I'd probably run 25% of what I write, but replace every mile of running that you miss with 10 minutes of biking or swimming. That is what I do until you get under 220-ish. When doing underwater object retrievals, 15 feet is the key to making it easy efficiency. Yeah, that's not hard. I mean, the only time people have a hard time getting down to 15 feet is if they can't clear their ears and their ears hurt. So you got to learn the Valsalva maneuver. In fact, I'll put it in the comment section for you and you can Google what that is. Of course, I'm misspelling it. So Valsalva maneuver. Maybe it's, oh, there it is. Let's see what I did wrong. Valsalva maneuver. Yeah. So look that up and you will see what that is. If you've done a scuba class, you're going to learn how to clear your ears using the hold your nose below, not hard, and you'll feel your ears pop. That equalizes you to the pressure at 15 feet. But the only people that have a hard time doing that are people who can't clear their ears and have too much body fat and they can't get down because they're floating. So if you're lean, getting down to the bottom's easy day. Let's see. What do you and your guys do to increase swimming speed with fins? Hate to say this, but we just practice swimming with fins. We do a lot of lunges to get our legs strong. Um, we only swim with fins on our leg days. Like today was our leg day, so we swam with fins afterwards. It just takes practice. And you got to get in swimming shape as well as get your legs in good muscle stamina shape because it's a lot of kicking. If you have big fins and your ankles hurt, my suggestion would be maybe start off with smaller fins because those big fins are just screwing up. If you feel like you're riding a bicycle and you can't do a yard per second in your big fins, then get smaller fins and build up to the bigger fins. That is what I would do and what we do. Do you have a coaching program that'll suit me for prepping for the Navy PST? I have a coaching program that suits you for any goal that you want. My coaching program is not limited to people preparing for the PST. I do have some guys who want to do that on the coaching program, but also have people who are 60 years old trying to lose 40 pounds. I have people who are triathletes. I have airline pilots who are in 4 different cities each week trying to fit in fitness into their schedule as best they can. So I create personalized programs for their schedule, for their abilities, for their equipment, for their facilities, for their time per day, days per week. That is what that PT club is all about. So you can see it at the Stu Smith Fitness. You'll see online coaching program, but it's not just for spec ops guys. In fact, most of my people are over 40 that are just trying to stay fit still. Been doing your programs for about 10 years now. Awesome. Well, thank you. Any advice on joining reserves at 30 years old? It is something I've been thinking about for quite a while. Well, I tell you what, if you've been doing my programs for 10 years now, you've probably created a body that's definitely capable of getting through the reserves. So now it also depends on, what branch of service you're going to, and you have to get a little more specific with their testing and their training. But that's what I would do. 30 years is no big deal. Shoot, man, I wish I was 30 years old. You kidding me? I was crushing things at 30 years old. So, yeah, go for it, man. See, I'm 6'3", 190. Would you recommend trying to put on some weight before I ship? Um, will that happen naturally in boot camp? I don't know. Some people lose weight at boot camp. Some people gain weight at boot camp. My thinking is most people, especially if you're a hard gainer and 190 has been hard for you to get up to, you're probably going to lose even more weight. However, if you're young and you're still growing, sometimes people put on weight in these kind of trainings. We had a guy put on weight at Buds. He was like 18-year-old kid and probably started off at about 150 and graduated Buds at like 175. He was a freaking beast when he graduated. But he was skinny when he started. Really skinny. I will say this. I was 6'1" ish on a good day. If you measured me right out of the bed, a little bit taller than I was at the middle of the day. And I was 195, 200. So you're in the ballpark. Wouldn't worry too much about it, but I would say 6'3", between 195, 205 would be a good zone for you. Just so you're big enough, strong enough to not get crushed by boats and logs. And then after, Hell Week, you can just keep the weight off, and because it turns more into like running, swimming, and calisthenics training. You might be rucking a little bit and carrying scuba tanks on your back, but for the most part, you don't have a log and boat on you that's about to crush you. So those first 4 weeks are all about logs and boat durability. So having a little bit of mass in those first 4 weeks of Buds, it's not going to hurt you. And then you can rip it up, in second and third phase and get faster on the runs and all that stuff. And that's kind of been my philosophy going through. I think when I was going through Hell Week, I was like 200, 205. And when I graduated, I was closer to 190, 195. Still been doing the 12 weeks to Buds plan, seeing huge improvements. I have been thinking about moving to Annapolis area, join Heroes of Tomorrow. Any suggestions? Find cheap housing in there. I'm really not the guy to ask. I don't really know. A lot of guys found stuff on Craigslist. Some guys recently came in and got in with a dude that owned like 12 different houses, and he loves the idea of what they're doing. He gave him a good price on it. So my advice would be this, and to be honest with you, is come to visit for a few days, 3, stay the whole week, figure out that kind of lodging, Airbnb, motel, whatever, friends. And then what I would recommend would be to meet some of the people. Maybe there's somebody looking for a roommate or has a insight on a new apartment. Um, but also just test it out. You may not like anybody that's here. Your personality may not mesh with the other personalities. Now, I will say that is rare because everybody is very like-minded on what they're here for. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's trying to go serve in some capacity and take things very seriously. So chances are you're probably going to mesh pretty well. But I would still test it out first before pulling the trigger and finding a job and moving into here. And you never know. You may not like what we're doing. I will add that over 10 years of real world experience as an electrician and maintaining great shape, always working to get better. Awesome. Outside of the 50-50, do you recommend Buds candidates swim any freestyle, or is it mostly CSS? Good question. These are good questions today. Um, it's kind of up to you. I like freestyle swimming mainly just because I feel it gets me in better swimming shape. Like I can swim CSS pretty steadily, not really be challenged aerobically. It's almost like zone 2 running for me. Um, but when I swim freestyle, I'm definitely pushing another energy system, unless I'm just not kicking and trying to go very fast. But I just find it a better method to change it up a little bit. So, but it's up to you. I will say I didn't do much freestyle swimming before I went to Buds at all. But I have found over the years as a coach to people who are struggling with that swim that they just need to get in swimming shape because I got them capable of swimming an 8:20. If you were to look at that one lap coming in at 50 seconds, but they're just not capable of maintaining that pace for another 9 more laps. So, what I do is get them in swimming shape as a more conditioning issue, and freestyle has been a really quick way to do that. That's why that 50-50 works so well, in my opinion. Um, Hey Stu, I know yours and Nichols guys have about 95% passing rate through Buds. Do you think this is because your workouts, or is it something else you teach them? Whew, good question. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's the workouts, but for my group personally, I require them to show up every day, 6 o'clock. And, some guys drive 30, 40 minutes to get here, so they're up even earlier. Um, and we do it first thing in the morning, rain or shine, all year round, outdoors. So there's a level of commitment that is involved in just showing up to these workouts. There's a level of mental toughness that gets created because getting out of your warm car in January when it's 27 degrees and windy and you're going to spend the next 2 hours outside working out kind of sucks. Um, so I think there's between the levels of commitment that are involved in these programs, because I will tell you right now, my programs are long. I am fully under the um, category of there's no 30-minute gym workout that's going to prepare you for a day of spec ops training. So you got to put in the time. And a lot of times that means doing your weights, doing your calisthenics, then you run, then you swim, then you ruck, depending on what day it is and you spread it throughout the week, so you're going to spend a couple hours a day. And then hopefully you spend the rest of the day working, not just sleeping and eating and recovering perfectly, because I will tell you there's a level of work capacity that goes into a day of Buds. You're not always working out, but you're always on your feet, you're cleaning boats, you're doing stuff. You got busy work to do all day. There's always a level of stress because an instructor can walk by and just start hammering you anytime. So I think getting used to long days is a very important part of what I see in my guys' success. I've seen guys like do a 2-hour workout, then go take the PST, and they'll say, "Well, I didn't want the PST to ruin my workout." They'll go take the PST past that because they're already delayed entry. They got their contract, but every month or so they got to take the PST. They'll go take the PST, then they'll go work construction the rest of the day, or landscaping, or they're on their feet, carrying kegs in a restaurant type of stuff. So they're just busy, and I've seen that being kind of like a defining factor uh, in the guys I see locally. Anyway, yes, we have good training, but they also have a level of commitment that I can't teach. I try to find a system that requires it, but I don't teach it, if that makes any sense. That's a great question. Curious question. Do you know if Swicks are considered to be Frogman too? I don't think so. Um, I will say back in the day, the Frogman brothers have been SEAL and EOD because they're actually developed by the same guy. So, way back when, post World War II, Draper Kaufman created the EOD. He also created SEALs, kind of like the first guy who created this thing. If you read the book by Water Beneath the Walls, I don't have a copy, I gave it away. Um, Great book by Ben Milligan, by Water Beneath the Walls. You'll read some remarkable history. It wasn't just him involved, and he's kind of given as the father of SEALs and EOD, but he really wasn't. There's a couple others that really took it to the next level, but especially in the 60s. But he basically created the Frogman, um, that was a combination between SEALs and EOD. So I would not say that they are Frogmen, but they are definitely a part of special warfare, Navy special warfare. Very big part. Warner Stu, do you know any solid places, doctors you or anyone would recommend for PRK eye surgery? Maybe one the Navy uses, saving up for it as we speak. No, but my advice is when you go shopping for guys that do LASIK PRK surgery, is ask them how many they have done, because that's a good indicator, right? I mean, a lot of these dudes are well into the thousands of number of people that they have restored their vision with. Um, the Navy uses their own. They actually will do it for you in the Navy, but getting a an appointment to do that as a young Navy enlisted guy, it doesn't happen that way. We've had a few guys that didn't listen to me, and I said, you need to do this on your own. Save your money and get it done before you leave. Take that extra 6 months of time that you have in between the surgery and going through MEPS to just get in better shape. And a couple guys didn't do that, and they said, "Nah, my recruiter says we can, get PRK in the Navy." And he's not wrong, but here's the deal: he had to go get another job, so now he can't get out of that job for a couple of years anyway. PRK is not going to happen for a couple of years, and he just got PRK, and he's like an E5 now, right? It took him almost 4 years to get PRK in the Navy. Now he's thinking about doing other stuff. I think he's going SARC instead of SEAL. He's a corpsman. Um, so it's, yeah. As far as I know, I do not have a particular doctor. There's one nearby that does a lot of our guys. Um, but I be honest with you, I don't even know his name. So there you go. All right, how are we looking? So, if you're wondering what we are doing here locally, we are actually doing this cycle right here. I change it up a little bit just to come up with new ideas, but this is our spring calisthenics and cardio running progression cycle where I think we're on week 7 or 8 now. I think we missed a week because of our Hell Week that we did last week, kind of a impromptu Hell Week. Wanted to introduce some guys to some of the suffering that they will be experiencing, and I think they learned a lot. It was a good, safe event. We didn't go crazy with running, 40 miles, when our progression was only 20. We did a lot of crawling though. Didn't run much, but we crawled a lot. So that's how basically if we had already hit our mileage for the day, we just crawled in wet and sandy pants until I was tired. So it was good times. All right. So I guess that's it. I do need to go. I do need to write an article today. Some of these questions were really good. You may see them on an article that I write for military.com. I won't put your name in there, but the idea of some of your articles were really good. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for asking questions. If you guys got any questions, you can always email me at stu@stewsmith.com. In fact, here's my email address. You can also DM me on Instagram, send me videos on Instagram. I'll critique them. Usually on Tuesday, I'll share some of the critique videos I get. And if you stuck around this long, give me a like. And you can use a coupon code LIVE15 to save 15% over there on books and ebooks. So, all right, folks, that is it. I will see you later. This is Stu Smith signing off. Until tomorrow, have a good one.